This is Sparks Sustainability, and I'm Eric Sparks. One of the biggest sustainability challenges we are facing today is biodiversity loss. By 2018, worldwide wildlife populations had declined by 69% from where they were in 1970. Almost 70% of wildlife gone in less than 50 years' time. The International Union for Conservation of Nature has a red list of threatened species, and out of the more than 166,000 species they monitor, over 46,300 are threatened. More than 1 in 4. One of the habitats that holds the most biodiversity is tropical forests. And that means that when deforestation happens there, it has a much greater negative impact on our planet's biodiversity than almost anywhere else. Tropical forests are being cut down, burned, and cleared alarmingly fast, with currently about 10 football or soccer fields worth disappearing every single minute. In each of those areas, we may be losing entire species of plants, animals, fungi, forever. Some we hadn't even discovered yet. These areas of forest are cleared for logging, cattle grazing, oil palm plantations, or other reasons. Sometimes the clearing is done in secret, and it isn't even discovered until someone analyzes satellite imagery of the area. These forests not only are biological diversity hotspots, but also help control water cycles, absorb carbon dioxide and release oxygen, store vast amounts of that carbon, purify water, and provide homes and livelihoods for many millions of people. By cutting and burning them down, we are releasing millions of tons of carbon dioxide, which warms the planet, releasing air pollution, and we are disrupting water cycles, as can be seen across the Amazon right now, and basically sabotaging our world and our future. Forests provide a huge amount of benefit, but that benefit isn't taken into account by our economic systems. And so they are seen as not generating wealth despite all that they do for us. Only by cutting them down and selling the wood, or by clearing the land to use for something else, such as cattle or palm oil, can money be made from them. This is a horribly short-sighted view and really needs to be remedied quickly before the tropical forests are all gone. There are some attempts to calculate the benefit that forests provide to society, economies, and our civilizations as a whole, and have some kind of payments for those services, but it's a slow governmental process that is being actively opposed by those who value short-term profits above all else. How can we change this? Changing the whole political landscape around the world to enable it doesn't really seem possible. And even if it were, it would likely take so long that there wouldn't be any forest left to save. Is there some other way to provide a financial benefit now to landowners around the world for simply leaving their forests intact, and which doesn't rely on fickle governmental policies and temporary interventions from administrations that come and go? I started thinking about that. Could there possibly be some way that the owners of forest land could get paid to simply leave it be and keep it intact as forest? Often the area near the forest is sparsely populated, which is why it's still forest, and so the small local populations, if any, couldn't really be expected to provide the kind of money to support these forests. Could there be a way for people around the world to actively support the preservation of forests, no matter where they are? And giving money to preserve forests around the world is certainly worthwhile, but how can people be and stay actively engaged? How can they be sure that their money was actually being used to keep forests intact? So I thought, and what I eventually came up with is sort of a weird mix of social media and trail cameras. Here's how it works. A landowner agrees to preserve, maintain, keep a certain section of their land as forest. They sign an agreement that they will not allow logging, clearing, or any other significant human action of that particular piece of land. Each piece of land will be of a set size. Let's say it's a square kilometer. For every square kilometer that they agree to preserve, a solar-powered trail camera will be installed somewhere in that square kilometer. The cameras would be motion-controlled to snap pictures whenever an animal comes by, but also on something like a timer so it doesn't take more pictures than it can hold. The cameras would have a satellite internet connection to upload the pictures that they take. Now, these cameras can't be too high up if they're going to take pictures of animals that are on the ground, but solar panels also need to be high enough in the canopy to catch enough light to power them. Probably they would need to consist of a solar panel which is mounted high up in a tree, connected by a long, durable cable to the camera part mounted far below. Since it's higher up, the solar panel could also house the satellite internet connection. For every one of these cameras, the landowner, whether an individual, company, or even government, would receive a certain amount of money every month. So now you're obviously wondering where this money for the cameras, the network, and the payments to the landowners would come from. People all over the world love watching nature documentaries and learning about nature. I love watching them myself. However, these are made over a long time, taking years to produce and release. You don't exactly know when the footage was shot, nor what is going on in those places now. And that puts a bit of a distance or wall or disconnection between the viewer and the natural world they are viewing. Nature documentaries are wonderful, educating and enlightening us about the wonders of our world. But in some sense, those are still just far-off places on the other side of the world that we have little real connection to. However, in the idea above, there are all of these pictures being uploaded every single day from cameras in forests all over the world. This is where the social media aspect of this idea comes in. Have a social media app and site where subscribers can view these pictures that are uploaded daily. Users can look through the pictures and find photos of birds, primates, large insects, big cats, and more. Imagine being able to look through these and see new wildlife pictures that no one else has ever seen before. Users can tag pictures with information identifying the animals, and they can share really interesting or unique pictures with other users. I don't know about you, but I would love looking through the pictures that were just taken of wildlife from forests all over the world. That would really give me a sense of connectedness with the forest around the world, and a sense of immediacy of what's happening in these forests right now. Imagine being the first one to find a picture of an animal that no one has ever seen before. Of course, the subscribers to the site or app would pay a subscription fee. Let's say each subscriber pays $10 a month. Then let's say that $4 would go to support the app, hardware, servers, development support teams, infrastructure, and all of that, and the rest would go towards making the payments to the landowners. In fact, the subscription fee would just be a minimum, and the subscriber could voluntarily pay more per month to help further and expand the preservation efforts. The more money that comes in, the more cameras that can be placed in the more square kilometers of forest that will be preserved. Another aspect of this is that there really can be pictures of animals that no one has ever seen before, as well as providing data on animal populations and ranges. Given that, this system would be a big benefit to biologists and university biology departments around the world. These university departments could have special subscriptions that would give them access to more information than your average subscriber, such as specific location data. That information wouldn't be available to regular subscribers, just so that it doesn't unwittingly aid poachers who might subscribe. You could tell the country, maybe the province, but that would be it. The university accounts could also tag the pictures with greater and deeper information, such as species, diet, ranges, and other interesting information. All users could see this information and see that it was added by a university account, and which university it was. With cameras in forests all over the world uploading pictures of different species, this system could greatly aid biologists in identifying new species, migration patterns, population estimates, distribution ranges, and more. Of course, these accounts would need to have much higher fees and have a stringent application process to prove that they are actually working for that university. Perhaps the university accounts would also have special access to allow the integration of their own AI tools to search through the vast amounts of pictures to identify ones with particular types of animals and tag them for closer examination and classification. The only other organizations that could get the location info might be governmental anti-poaching squads, if the system happens to capture pictures of poachers and the organization passes a strict vetting process as well. Perhaps an AI integration might be needed to identify pictures with humans in them and not display those to regular users, but only to university and anti-poaching accounts. These subscriptions from individuals and universities all over the world would provide the funds to support the landowners in preserving and maintaining their areas of forest land. How much could be paid? If the network were to reach up to 10 million regular users at $10 apiece, and 1,000 universities at, let's say, $1,000 a month, that would be an income of $101 million. Let's say there are 100,000 cameras and 100,000 square kilometers of forest around the world. If we estimate the cost of servers, infrastructure, cameras, salaries, and everything at $41 million, that would leave $60 million to distribute to the landowners. That would be $600 per camera per month, or $7,200 per year per square kilometer, for simply leaving their forest land natural and wild as it is. It isn't a huge amount, but it's something. An ongoing income for these landowners, whether they are private individuals, companies, or even governmental national park or national preserve departments. The largest national park in Peru is Alto Porus, with over 25,000 square kilometers. If they were able to get agreements and cameras on only 5,000 of their 25,000 kilometers, that would be $3 million per year that they would receive. No doubt there would need to be some kind of active monitoring of the land to ensure that the landowners are sticking to their agreements. Any landowner or governmental entity could make pledges or agreements for many square kilometers of their land, all of which they would have to keep natural and pristine. To monitor areas all over the world on a regular basis would almost certainly have to be done through the analysis of satellite imagery. There would need to be penalties or warnings for any land that is damaged while under this agreement. Multiple violations would likely have to be dealt with more harshly, possibly by cancellation of the agreement for that piece of land, or maybe even eventually for every square kilometer and camera that they have. There are many, many things about the idea and the system that would have to be figured out, but I think it's at least a really interesting idea. Even if all the details were figured out, one big difficulty is that the agreements, placements of cameras, servers, computer systems, and the entire network would have to be set up and functioning before large amounts of people would start to subscribe to the network. That would take a significant upfront investment, and so is probably the biggest barrier to this happening. If somehow it did happen, I think the system could really make a significant impact in slowing down the deforestation that is ravaging forests around the world, and tropical forests in particular. It would also give people all around the world a much more immediate and intimate connection to these forests and the animals that inhabit them. The subscriptions would provide some monetary income for having and preserving natural forests, until someday when our governments and economic systems finally come to recognize the incredibly useful services and vast amount of value that these forests provide to not only the locals, but the whole region they are in and to the planet as a whole. We must preserve these forests around the world, and this is one potential way to help do just that. Thanks for listening. I'm Eric Sparks. For more info or to contact me or for a text version of this article, visit sparksustainability.com.